Hello, welcome back to another edition of the Faithful Fan Sports Podcast. My name is Noah Casper. I'll be joined today by Ryan Shaughnessy and Luke Cervello, two other members of our Faithful Fan Sports team. How are you guys doing today?
Good to be back.
Yeah, I'm good too. Good to have a lot of topics to talk about tonight, so should be a good one.
We're going to focus mostly on the NBA and NHL playoffs in tonight's episode. We're going to start off with the Celtics-Bucks series in the NBA playoffs. The Celtics had a big win on the road in Milwaukee in Game 1. The Bucks responded with a big win in Game 2 over the Celtics. We've seen two blowouts as the series heads back to Boston. Luke, what was your takeaway from the two games we saw in Milwaukee?
I thought in essence they did what they wanted to do. They went there to at least. Obviously they're going to say they wanted to get a game, but they did what they had to do, and that was get a game on the road. My initial impression is this is going to be a very good series. That'd be my initial impression. I think the two teams match up. I think the Celtics match up well with the Bucks, but the Bucks are, I'd say, more. They definitely had a better season, so I think it's a good match. I think it's a series that's going to have a lot of length to it. It'll be down to the wire.
Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be probably Game 6 or Game 7 kind of series. Depends how Boston does back at home. Game 1 and 2 were complete polar opposites of each other, so it's kind of hard to predict it right now. But I just think this with the Celtics' depth, I think they might have a better shot, and especially if Giannis can get locked down or just like reduced to not being as dominant as he usually is, I think the Celtics definitely have a good chance of winning the series. And I like them to win this one, but never know how it's going to go.
I think the Celtics, like Luke said, I agree. They did their job going to Milwaukee and getting one. Last year, these two teams met in the playoffs. The Celtics were the 2 and the Bucks were the 7, so things a little flipped this time. But not a single team won a game on the road in that series a year ago. So to see the Celtics go into Milwaukee and get one is a big deal. It doesn't mean anything if Milwaukee goes to Boston and wins one there, but I think I agree with Ryan. I think the Celtics have the advantage in this series. They have more playoff experience. Kyrie Irving has championship pedigree, and the fact that I don't think we've seen him play his best in these first two games either. Going back to Boston, he'll be ready to go. That whole team will be locked and put together. Do you guys have any X factors, like individual people in this series, or do you think it's not going to come down to that?
I would say to me, the big guy for the Celtics, I don't know, I guess you'd call him an X factor, is the emergence of Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is pretty much Gordon Hayward again. He's been patiently aggressive, meaning, when he comes off those ball screens or when he just catches it and rips through at the top, his decisions have been good, whether to feed the post or take that mid-range jumper that he's so smooth at. He's been, I guess you could call him an X factor. He's about 95% of what he used to be.
Yeah, again, I agree with that one, but I think it's going to have to be Jason Tatum, especially if Kyrie slumps like he did the other night. I think he's someone who can definitely cover for if Kyrie has a slight off night.
He's got 9 points in 2 games.
I'm going to go on the flip of you guys. You guys brought up two Celtics. I'm going to go Milwaukee on the X factor. I'm looking at their bigs, either Mirotic or Brook Lopez. If either of those guys if you can get 15 from either of them a night, I think Milwaukee's actually in pretty good shape.
Mirotic has been decent in this series.
It doesn't mean that he hasn't been, but you need those guys to show up.
He's definitely not. He's not a great player, but he's no bum. He's serviceable. I don't think he played well the other. He played better in Game 1 than 2, but he's no slouch. I agree. That's a respectable statement by you.
So staying in the Eastern Conference, the 2-3 series between the Toronto Raptors and the Philadelphia 76ers. Ryan, we'll start with you on this one. What have been your takeaway from the first two games?
It's definitely back and forth, but I just like the Philadelphia 76ers in this one.
Really?
Wow, really? That's very silly.
Silly
Raptors,
comment. I think they're
Whoa. Go ahead.
I think they're a better team defensively. You have and they definitely have like scores from everywhere. I mean, the lack of a Ben Simmons jump shot definitely hurts in the long run, but he can still shoot in the paint like anyone else. Same with Joel Embiid. His defensive presence is definitely something that isn't to be messed with. I mean, I'm definitely not a fan of Joel Embiid's antics on the court, but you can't question his high level of skill in basketball.
He's hurt right now, though.
But he's still playing.
I know, but it feels like a ticking time bomb to me. Even if the Sixers advance, I just don't think he could gut out a whole playoffs at a high level, and they need him playing at a high level. 76ers are going nowhere. Raptors get this series, and I predicted 6 before this series, and I'll stick with it. Raptors are a deeper team, a more cohesive team. They're just a better team in every category. What did you say?
The 76ers have the second best starting 5 in the NBA outside of Golden State.
They do know. So
then how is Toronto better than them in every category?
That's not okay. Fine, they have a better starting 5, Noah, but Toronto. I'm just not interested in like looking at Mike Scott jack up threes. Like I just don't. 76ers depth will get outplayed all series by Toronto, and Toronto will be easy, comfortable professional 6-game series win for the Toronto Raptors.
I mean, I
shouldn't say easy because 6 games isn't easy. I shouldn't say that.
I agree.
Not a nail biter.
I agree with your overall point that Toronto will probably win this series. Playing playoff games in Toronto, the fact that Philadelphia was able to get 1 in Toronto is big. I think if you look at the 76ers, no, they don't have the bench depth, but they have the stars. If you have, I mean, it depends. I mean, if it comes down to it, do you trust an Embiid? Do you trust Jimmy Butler? Do you trust Tobias Harris to make you a big shot in the playoffs? I don't know. But do you trust? But on the flip side, do you trust Kyle Lowry to make you a big shot in the playoffs either?
I trust Kawhi Leonard.
I trust Kawhi Leonard, but do you trust the other guys there?
No. You know what? One thing I'll say, I don't think basketball people realize how much Kyle Lowry has regressed.
Yeah,
the guy's just not that good anymore. I'm sorry, I wouldn't even consider him like a star player anymore.
Oh no, me neither. I think
he was at one point.
I'm not convinced he's a top 15 point guard in the NBA anymore.
He was on when he was on that. He made the Rio team, and I know people didn't play. Like he was a good basketball player then, but some of his years with DeRozan, he was a good player. I wouldn't take that away from him, but he's just not what he was to me. Like he's really regressed. Like I don't want to say fell off a cliff, but maybe fell off a ledge.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So moving now to the West, Portland and Denver in a Northwest Division playoff matchup. 2 teams that haven't made deep playoff runs in the past, and one of these teams is for sure going to the Western Conference Finals. What are your thoughts on this series thus far?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, at the moment, Trailblazers are up 78-64. Game 2. I think this series is probably the most even matchup, so to say. Yeah. I think the Nuggets have a better defensive presence, but the Trailblazers definitely have more of the offensive presence, especially with Damian Lillard. He's a baller. Everyone knows that by now. Toasted Westbrook in the first round, so I think it just go either way. It just depends who's gonna win the last game.
I mean, I think. Listen, I've called the Nuggets a pretender all year. Okay, and I had to eat my words a little bit because I did pick the Spurs in 6, so I ate my words in that series. But my point about them being a pretender is still the same because I think I like the Blazers in this series. I don't know. The Nuggets don't feel like a team that's making a run to me. I don't know. I don't see it. But I will say this. People do underrate a lot of their players. They have players slept on. Jamal, there's just not a lot of more underrated players in the NBA than Jamal Murray. The guy just gets buckets.
We were just talking about Kyle Lowry in the last segment. I think Jamal Murray is a better point guard than Kyle Lowry, don't you?
Oh, I don't even know if you could make. I don't even know if that's a topic of conversation you could even have.
So the backcourt matchup in this series is an interesting one. You have Jamal Murray and Gary Harris, and then Lillard and McCollum for Portland. I mean,
four good players.
Four good players. Harris is by far the worst of the four, but that doesn't mean anything against him.
Yeah.
I think that if Portland had Nurkic healthy, I think that they would win this series in probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, that hurts.
I still think Portland does win the series because, I mean, in the playoffs, how often does the team with the best player in the series not win it? And they have the best player in the series.
Very rarely.
In Lillard. I just don't see Denver winning this series. I would love to be wrong because I'm rooting for them. They're a young team. I thought Mike Malone was unfairly fired in Sacramento years ago. I've been rooting for him ever since. I like Murray. I like Jokic. I think that in the end, Portland's a better basketball team.
Listen, Noah, I'll say this to you. One thing the Blazers need to figure out that series in Game 1, Harkless. Millsap made Harkless his you-know-what. He threw him around like a rag doll.
Well, what else did you expect?
That's not going to work. See, I'm saying that's where you miss Nurkic because I think Nurkic would be covering Millsap. That's my point.
No, Nurkic would be on Jokic.
Yeah, I guess. Well, but the trickle-down effect is still there. You have one less big. Fair enough. You're right. You are right, but we're both right. You're right that he would be on Nurkic, but the trickle-down effect is still there. Mo Harkless starting a playoff game really helps nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing against him. Carved out a nice goal in the NBA. I'm not saying he's a bum. He's not a bum. I'm not saying that. But I think him starting an NBA playoff game doesn't really help them. I mean, the guy averaged 7 and 5 in the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. So moving to the most discussed playoff series at the moment, of the other series in the Western Conference, Golden State and Houston. Houston, we've heard them publicly complaining about refereeing. There was something they released to the media about 81, air quote, potential missed foul calls against them in last year's Game 7. To be honest with you, the Houston Rockets really aren't sitting well with me right now. They're down
2-0 too. All this talking about the refs and they're down 2-0.
Exactly. So. They have tried to. They've spent so much time finding excuses for why they were losing instead of just showing up and playing basketball. I'm not interested in hearing you talk about the referees in that game. You missed 27 straight threes, and that's why you lost the basketball game. As for right now, they're too focused on other stuff. If you're going to beat Golden State, you need to be locked in. You need to be focused. You need everybody playing 100% of the time with their head in the game.
And only focused on your play, not refs.
And you know what team is doing that in this series? It's Golden State. This series is over. Houston's getting swept. It's over.
They might get a game, but I agree that it's over. I think they'll probably get a game at home. No, one point I want to make. I think Chris Paul needs to get a grip. Chris Paul is the guy that's always bothered me. I think there's some false sense of entitlement there. Chris Paul has never been to an NBA Finals. Okay, I don't think he's won an MVP. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think he and before last year, he had never even made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay. You have a guy that's continuously lost in the playoffs, lost playoff series the whole time with the Clippers, all that talent. He had all that talent at his disposal. Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan didn't win a damn thing.
JJ Redick
didn't win a damn thing, no.
Never made it past the Western Conference semis.
Chris Paul is no longer a superstar. He's a good, very good player. And all he does is complain. That ejection in Game 1, how do you hurt your team like that, Noah? In that big situation, you have to keep your cool. Scream at the ref after the game. Curse him out after the game and get fined. But you can't get ejected right there and hurt your team. That would make me out of my mind if I was a Rockets fan. I don't care how bad they'll call it. You can't hurt your team in that position. Chris Paul is a baby. A very underrated baby in the NBA. Does not get enough crap for it as he should. He is a sissy. I have no respect for Chris Paul.
Yeah, the series definitely isn't isn't one of my favorite. But, I mean, going back to the Rockets complaining about the refs, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you could break down every possession and find a foul on every possession in a basketball game. So I mean,
thank you.
So I mean, to complain about the refs constantly, that doesn't do anything but hurt yourself.
Who does them complaining about the refs help? Nobody.
Just put your head down, play your basketball, and if you just stop focusing on other things, you'll get wins. You just focus on basketball. Adapt and overcome.
Who does them complaining about the refs help?
You know what they want? They want people like us to be talking about the refs instead of why they're losing these games. Let's talk about the actual basketball game. I think in this series, just this playoffs alone, this regular season, do you think that you could even argue against Kevin Durant being the best player in the NBA right now? I don't think you can.
For me, he's past LBJ.
Oh, absolutely.
Nothing against LeBron. I don't typically say bad things about him, at least on the court. But, yeah, I think Durant definitely have to at least acknowledge he's a better scorer at this point. He's the best scorer in the NBA. Well, maybe James Harden, I don't know. But in the playoffs, if you could, like I said, pick a guy for a game-winning shot, I'm sorry, I'm going with Durant.
I mean, there are a lot of NBA fans and just people in general who love to hate on Golden State and rip them to shreds. But isn't watching them play basketball actually kind of fun?
I wouldn't go that far.
Watching them,
I think their dynasty's been kind of boring for the whole league. My opinion.
I mean, there's no turmoil, but they play such clean, smooth basketball. I think
enjoy it while it is. This is the last year of it, or at least the whole thing. All of them together. I'd say this is the last year. Well, somebody has to go.
All of them. By all of them, are you including DeMarcus Cousins or not? I don't think he even really counts.
Yeah.
You really think KD comes back to Golden State?
I don't know. I think
he's gone. I think he wants to. I think to win another ring. This will be his third ring, correct?
Third.
Yep. Three-peat. 17, 18, 19. I think that Kevin Durant will go to somewhere else so that he can build a team from the ground up, or not even necessarily the ground up, from like being a decent team or a good team to a great team, so he can rebuild his legacy and win people back. Because his legacy is not looking great. I'm sorry, legacy as far as like championship legacy. Honestly, people know he's a great player. Let me rephrase. I don't want people going to misquote me when I say that. I think that he would like to go and win a ring or compete for a ring as the showcase and be by himself. Yes, not like you obviously have to have good players, but not joining Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Not being. I think that now that we're having this conversation, I think that the Durant in Golden State conversation now and in years to come, once he eventually isn't there anymore, I'd like to say that people won't overlook the fact that he took number one in the NBA from LeBron because he was there, and because despite the fact that he's the best player in the NBA, most people would still tell you that Steph Curry is the face of that franchise. So
I'd say so, yeah.
If he leaves, it's to be the face of the franchise somewhere and say, look at me, I'm the number one guy now, and I can win on my own too.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
But I wouldn't blame him if he stays, because if he stays, I think he would have a chance to pass Jordan's ring total.
Yeah, but I don't think people would really put stock into that, but maybe him.
Never know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Be interesting. Very interesting. No, I know you feel like you're always saying this, but there's some genuine intrigue to me in this upcoming NBA summer. I know you say that every year, you feel like, but I'm curious. I think there's some various decisions with Kyrie and Durant, Kemba Walker.
Kawhi,
yep. Kawhi's unrestricted straight up, right?
Yeah.
Thought so.
And Jimmy Butler.
Oh, don't talk about that, Bob.
Okay, before we start talking about the NHL playoffs, I just want to bring up some big NHL news. So it's reported that Pavel Datsyuk has ended his run in the KHL and is looking to come back to the NHL, especially with Steve Yzerman taking over the Red Wings operations. Datsuk played with Yzerman, so I can see him coming back to Detroit. Definitely something to be excited about as a hockey fan. Definitely, I think everyone's a fan of Datsuk. He's magical with the puck, so to say. Probably one of the top 10 most skilled players to ever put on
I
skates.
don't know about that.
Yeah. If you watch his highlight reels,
maybe, yeah, okay. I will, yeah. Okay.
I'm talking about pure skill.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said 10, like you were saying, like 10 best players or 10 most skilled. Yeah, I'd really have to go through it, but maybe that's fair.
So definitely that's something to be excited for this offseason, see if he comes back. Hopefully it doesn't end up like Kovalchuk coming back and kind of just being a regular guy, but we'll see.
Yeah, Kovalchuk, but Ryan, Kovalchuk left more closer to his. Kovalchuk left. He left for the KHL at 2. He had too many good NHL years left. He was stupid.
Yeah.
And then he came back when he was too old. He was dumb. I think Datsuk will have more success. But Ryan, here's what I'll say to you. You know what Datsuk's showcase is going to be? The World Championships.
Yeah, he'll definitely be able to see if he can still play at a high caliber level of hockey.
That's always a very exciting tournament coming up. USA looking to win their first gold medal in a very long time, and USA as a team to do it. That'll be something hopefully we can have our writers write about. That's always an exciting tournament.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on to the NHL playoffs. Let's hop into Hurricanes-Islanders series. Hurricanes just won tonight against the Islanders 5-2, I believe. So it's a 3-0 lead on the series for the Hurricanes. What are you guys' thoughts?
It's been a weird series, Ryan. It's 3-0, but it's been a good series. That sounds weird to say, but it really even that score night 5-2. It's a 3-2 game with 2 empty net goals. It really has been a really pretty even series, almost dead even. Just the Hurricanes have just made the big time plays. They lose game 2. Islanders lose a tough game 2. They're the better team the whole night. Hurricanes scored like 2 goals in a minute. Win. Just tough. They've had a tough series. And it's been very impressive to me, the Hurricanes' ability to battle injury adversaries. They've had a lot of guys in their team have been hurt, particularly Svechnikov, who came back tonight. Had a lot of injuries. Their goalie goes down, they brush it right off.
Yeah, Mrazek went down the other night.
He didn't play today, did he?
No, it was
Next man up. They're a hell of a team. They're everything. The Hurricanes team right now is everything that's right about sports. It's just a group of guys. That's not an overly talented team. It's not. Look at the roster. It's not. That's a team that came together this year and believed in each other. And they're 5 wins from getting to the Cup final. That's pretty cool. They're a team that believe in themselves. They deserve more credit than I could give to them in words.
Yeah, they definitely.
With that being said, I think the winner of Columbus and the Bruins will beat them.
Yeah, definitely a very even. The game win total, Carolina being up 3-0. I don't think that kind of gives a misread on the series. Carolina coming together, the chemistry's there. They have a solid veteran player in Justin Williams who's able to lead that young team. I think just kind of an all-around complete team who just so gelled together that they can kind of take this wherever they want to.
They have a bright future too with Aho and Svechnikov. The future's bright there. Dougie Hamilton, a little bit soft, but he's definitely skilled.
On paper, it would suggest that the winner of Bruins Blue Jackets would definitely beat them. But in Stanley Cup playoffs, you just never know.
Yeah, really tough playoffs to predict.
I mean, the Hurricanes are hot. That's all you need.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of Bruins Blue Jackets, the Blue Jackets took a 2-1 lead in that series last night in Columbus. Game 4, still in Columbus. Luke, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think how does this series going to play out?
I mean, I think the Bruins in 6.
So you think the Bruins won't lose a game again?
No. But I'm just saying what I picked before. I still like the Bruins in the series. But with the Bruins, it's the lack of production from top guys, Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak, DeBrusk. And it's also just it's hesitant. They've been a little bit too cute at times, and I think they're also running into a hot goalie. So in Game 4, I would look for the Bruins to – Ryan, I'm sure you'd agree – to just continue. Listen, When you have a hawk, you know how you beat a hawk goalie? Pucks and bodies, rebound goals. Bobrovsky's just tough to beat on wristers and slap shots straight up right now. Pucks and bodies in that, just throw the bodies and get a little greasy. Honestly, that's how you're gonna beat Bobrovsky.
Yeah, if you get a lot of shots from the point, definitely McAvoy, Krug, Chara, definitely good shooters with hard shots. Get those on net. Get stick guys in front of the net and just hopefully for some tips, some rebounds. That's how you're gonna beat Bobrovsky. He's a standout goalie, definitely a probably top goalie in the NHL, Vezina winner.
Yeah, huge. She's just big time goalie. I would say he was one of the early front runners for the Conn Smythe in this playoffs. He's definitely one of the top guys up there, just playing out of his mind. Ryan, you know what he's giving me shades of?
Who?
2011 Tim Thomas. That's what I think of when I'm watching Bobrovsky right now. A guy just winning games.
Yeah, he's aggressive too.
He's on his head.
Yeah.
Great goalie. Really a guy that just stuck with it throughout his career. Beginning of his career really just wasn't that good.
He's like a fringe starter.
Go ahead.
He was like a fringe starter with the Flyers, I believe, for a little bit.
Yep. And then just popped.
Yeah. That's all you really need.
That arena last night in Columbus was rocking. They're getting behind this team, which is pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, the Blue Jackets have talent. Like we've talked about on this show before, they underperformed in the regular season. They needed some time for their trade deadline acquisitions of Duchesne and Dzingel to really kick in and get going for them. But they're hot right now. They're playing really good hockey. You guys were talking about the goaltending. Right now, I'd say Blue Jackets in 6.
Yeah, I mean, I want the Bruins to win, but I can see at this point, Bruins just their offensive production isn't there. I mean, obviously with a hot goalie, it's not going to be the best, but I mean, you gotta give Ross some help back there because he's standing on his head too. And I know it might go unnoticed with losing games, but he's been the backbone for this team this whole playoff. So offense has to give him some help.
One thing I will say, Ryan, is I think that it's very weird to see David Pastrnak struggling in every aspect of the game. You have a guy that's so talented, so gifted, going from 100 to 0 fast. It's really stunning to me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
I mean, Ryan, it'd be one thing if he just wasn't scoring, like he was just snake bitten, hitting pipes, or Bobrovsky's robbing him. He's had turnovers in the neutral zone. He's been lackadaisical defensively. He's just bad all around. I don't know what's up. I don't even know.
Yeah, he's like turtling out there almost. It seems like he's just scared to get hit. He must. I mean, I assume he's hurt somewhere. He just doesn't have any puck control. Just doesn't seem to be his normal star-studded self. So hopefully he gets it together.
He's back on line 1 for Game 4 tomorrow. Just created with the first line in practice today. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully that chemistry is still there. I really like that line. I think when they get going, it's just unstoppable.
Yeah, when they get going is the key word there. Haven't been going in this series, but I don't think they'll be able to shut them down the whole series. I like the Bruins in this series still.
Okay, so moving on out to the West, we have the Stars and the Blues. Definitely a good series to be watching. What are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Noah.
This has been a really fun series, a lot of offense, a lot of late goals, a lot of talent. I think that when you're looking at this series in the West, like we talked about, I think that whoever wins this series has to be the favorite in the Western Conference Finals to get to the Cup. I know the Sharks have been playing well against Avalanche, which we'll get to, but I feel like whoever wins is the 2 great goalies in this series too. I mean, Binnington has really established himself in the playoffs too.
I love Bishop.
And Bishop had a great year as well in Dallas, and he's playing well in the playoffs too. So it's been a good series so far.
Stars I'm watching right now as we're doing this podcast. I've been watching second period, 4-1 Stars going in the Blues. When you guys see this podcast, I assume the Stars have won. They're big performance from them. Interesting note, tonight before the game, Stars coach broke up that top line of Radulov, Sagan, and Ben. and he mixed it up, and so far so good. So That's a great series. Stars, you got to give them credit. In December, their CEO of that team publicly calls them out, and basically in so many words say, "Get it together, boys." And quite frankly, they did. And they're pushing these playoffs. It's a hell of a series. Just a really, really even. Just a really tough, even series. That game 3 was tremendous. It was one of the best games in the Cup playoff.
It's going to be a Game 7 kind of series. These teams just
absolutely.
I think Dallas's like scorers. I think they have the advantage in this one. They have both teams have tremendous goaltending, my opinion. I mean, Binnington definitely being a rookie in the playoffs definitely hurts him a little bit, but I see Stars winning this one in 7. Just with Sagan, Ben, and Radulov, just really either the line's broken up, you're definitely getting production from them no matter what.
Yep.
So next in the West, we have Colorado and the San Jose Sharks. So what are your thoughts on that series so far?
The Sharks have been pretty dominant. I think the series right now is, I believe, is it 2-1 San Jose up?
Yep, 2-1 San Jose, yep.
I mean, they have the emotional comeback win over Vegas. It seemed to really have united the team together. It's looking like Sharks in 5, maybe.
I'll say this, Noah. I think it's one of the more underrated, the big-time postseason performers in the whole league is Logan Couture, because he doesn't get – it's weird to talk about him being clutch, but that's what he is, because he's on a team that has historically not been clutch, but he is clutch. That's not what – you can't take that – you can't take that away from him. He's averaged just about a point a game in his last – 85 playoff games. He has been legit, almost better. He has 91 points in his last 90 playoff games. Yeah. That statistic speaks for itself. That's incredible. That's a guy get it dug in the highest level. And they're doing this without Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, Carlson's been playing really well on defense too these last couple games.
Tell you, they might as well bring the bank to his house this offseason.
Yeah.
He's going to get one of the – I'd say – I bet you right now, I'll make this prediction on this podcast right now. He could get the biggest contract in NHL history. He'll be up there. He'll be top 5.
Yeah, I can see him getting locked down for 11 or 12 million a year.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he's going to get paid more than McDavid, but because you have other players on that team to pay.
Sure. If I'm his agent, I would model his contract after what John Carlson got last offseason with the Stanley Cup champion Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. I think he could get about that. I don't remember the exact number, but it was 8 years. I want to say 74 under that pot, something like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from this series is goaltending. Both of these teams don't really have solid goaltending.
No.
At all.
No.
So I think you're going to really rely on your defense, and I think San Jose definitely has the edge in defense. They have 2 of the best defenders in the game, in Brett Burns and Erik Karlsson. So, I mean, you really can't argue with that. I do like the Colorado's offense, though, a little better than San Jose's, but I think defense wins you games in the playoffs, especially if you have shaky goaltending. So I think they have the advantage there.
I will say this. I think Jones has been a little bit better this series.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been a bum this series. They carried his rear end last series, but I think he's been better this series, which has helped them. They're trending out. I picked them in this series in 6, and that seems like it's about right.
So before we finish up the show today, we're going to get to some MLB talk. The Yankees have been going on a run lately despite all their injuries and the large number of guys that have been calling it from AAA and trading from other people's AAA teams. Luke, what are your thoughts on what they've been doing lately?
I think the biggest guy they've had step up that's kept them afloat is Luke Voigt. Luke Voigt, Noah, is one of the best steals you'll ever see. What did they even give up for him?
It was a trade for a reliever. I'm blanking on his name. They traded a reliever who was like a borderline MLB AAA guy.
He's reached base 41 consecutive games.
It's crazy.
Guy's a very good player. I can't take anything away from him. And also, I think Aaron Boone's done a nice job managing all the parts. I think he's a good manager. I personally think he's a good manager. He can manage my ball club any day.
Yeah.
And they just had guys step up, like random guys. Random.
Like Urshela, too.
Yeah. It's whatever came of him getting hit in that line with the line drive.
He missed a couple days that his x-rays were negative. He pinch hit yesterday, and I think he was back in the lineup today. They played around 3 o'clock against the Diamondbacks. I think he was back in the lineup.
All right. They are. It is impressive to me that they've stayed afloat, basically playing with a AAA lineup. Really.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, Urshela didn't get hit in the lineup.
Yes, he did.
Didn't the guy pitching get hit in the line drive?
Well, that was Corey Kluber tonight.
No, a guy in the Yankees got hit with a line. Was that Urshela?
Yes.
How did he get hit in the line drive in the field?
Not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I didn't see the play.
Yeah. But the point remains the same, that they have really, just hung in there, like holding off until their guys have gotten back. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Any other MLB thoughts or teams you want to bring up here?
No, I will say this. I think that we'll go around and say this. No, I'll let you start. What do you think has been the MLB team that has surprised you the most?
In a negative or in a positive way? I mean,
We'll go positive.
The St. Louis Cardinals. I thought they were going to be a good team coming into the year. I thought they would finish third in the NL Central and still end up as a wild card. Right now, they're off to a pretty big lead in the division. The Goldschmidt trade is looking like the best acquisition of the offseason. Their bullpen has been pretty strong. And don't the Cardinals just always have great starting pitching, great depth to their rotation?
Always consistent.
So I would say the St. Louis Cardinals.
I just don't know, Noah, if there's a more slept-on player in the MLB than Paul Goldschmidt. That guy is a superstar. He's a superstar, Noah. The guy hits 300 with 30 home runs every year. That's a superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, you want people like Bryce Harper get attention, but I'd take Paul Goldschmidt on my team over Bryce Harper 10 days out of 10.
Yeah, I would too.
I would. And no, the other guy, who's really getting back in rotation that's helped them is Wainwright.
Yeah.
He's just been, he's got a 3.73 ERA. I'm not saying that's tremendous, but I just think having that presence back definitely has helped them. I would say the most surprising team to me in the whole MLB, in a good way, would be I would have said the Mariners, but I think they've started to come back down.
Yeah, they've started to fall back down.
They could make another run, but I doubt it. I'm sorry, but I'd have to say the Dodgers. I thought this is I know this is kind of a bold prediction. I thought this is the year the Dodgers would fall off.
Yeah, they just always find guys. You know what I mean? They always just have the guys like the Justin Turner when he first broke out, or Max Muncy a year ago, just aren't supposed to be good, but they just find a way to hit in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, but no, I know someone. If you ask someone this question, they would say the Twins. I thought the Twins would win that division.
Yeah, you and I both on this show predicted the Twins would win the AL Central.
Yeah, I did.
Barrios is awesome.
Yeah, he's good, and Eddie Rosario gives them versatility, and he's a hell of a ball player.
Yeah.
Eddie Rosario is one of the more underrated players in the league, too. Just not a guy that gets enough credit. I think he was on the final vote last year. Don't quote me on that. I believe so.
I believe he was.
And he's a good player. He's very versatile. Versatility helps you in that league, especially with injuries, long season.
Biggest surprise to me, probably I was going to say the Mariners, but they've definitely fallen off a little bit. They're a game back from first in their division. But to me, the Rays are first in their division, the AL East.
That's the best record in all of baseball.
Yeah, 19-11 right now. I believe the Yankees are only 2 games back, but I mean that's definitely surprising. The Rays are a below average franchise at best in the MLB, and they're definitely on a surprising run. I mean, long season, but at the moment they're looking pretty good.
I agree. What they've done is impressive. I just predicted them to be a playoff team, so it hasn't surprised me. But you're absolutely right. What they've done is impressive.
All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Faithful Fan Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening, and hope you continue to listen in the future.
Thanks, guys.